Coach Mangini's still with us, and we're talking Patriots. On Friday, Eagles All-Pro right tackle Lane Johnson said he would rather win one Super Bowl and have fun than win 5 and be miserable. He also called New England a, quote, fear-based organization. Ooh. Coach, is Lane Johnson telling the truth about the Patriots?
Well, I don't know if Lane Johnson wants to only win one Super Bowl and have fun. Like, if that's his truth and that's
this is it for his career?
If that's what he's happy with, then that's great. Look, fear-based, is someone holding you accountable? Is that fear? Is someone holding you to a high standard? Is that fear? Is that someone making you accountable to the other people in the room and making sure that you do your job and are consistent? To me, that's most workplaces in the world are going to have those things.
That are successful.
That are successful. And when you look at the year after year after year of success, it's hard to argue with the formula. And then look at college football. And not a lot of people say that playing at Alabama is necessarily a big party.
Great example.
But the most successful college football program, the most successful pro football program, maybe it's not going to be, casual Fridays and high-fiving with your coworkers every day, but you're going to win Super Bowls and national championships, and I think most people would say that's pretty fun.
It's a great comparison to Alabama. The one thing I know in knowing Coach Saban, the people say a lot of things about him, but he really cares about his players. And the best moment for Coach Saban is after the game, he goes around and hugs every player, telling me appreciate what they did, appreciate what they stand for, after every single game. Now, you wouldn't think that. What I like about Alabama and New England is I didn't win no Super Bowl. I ain't playing one. I played 16 years, and, man, I swear I did things the right way.
Clearly.
I swear, man, I took care of my body. Man, I put demands on myself that I didn't even know I was capable of. But I would have loved to have an organization that I didn't have to do all that. That every day I came in, all I had to do was do my job. Didn't have to worry about another guy. Didn't have to worry about my phone ringing in the middle of the night with guys getting in trouble. I would have loved to have that. So I love to be in a demanding, pressure-packed situation. And that's what New England is. Like, we just keep it at 100% real. Like, it's pressure. It's demanding. Yeah, but they're rubbing. They're putting flames on the rocks, trying to turn them into diamonds. And that's what they have done. Championships have beget championships, and they've gotten more out of less. It's not like New England had all this talent and they blew it. Man, they are making football players. So to me, if you tell me at one point in my career that I could go to graduate school and I could go to a freaking football think tank, like, man, you can sign me up for some of that.
Doug, I'm definitely going to get your take on this, but what I hear Coach and CC saying is people show love in different ways, right? And one of those ways can be the intense discipline that clearly Belichick has established and expects, same with Nick Saban. And so, therefore, is it fear-based, or is that them showing their love?
To me, I think discipline is something that you do for someone. It's not something you do to someone. And sometimes people look at it as they're being too hard on me, or guys will view coaching as criticism, and being called out in a meeting is a bad thing. If the end goal is to make you better and to collectively make us better, and to achieve individually and as a team, that's what everybody should embrace, and that's what great competitors consistently embrace. They want to be coached regardless of how good they are.
Coach, blink twice if New England's a fear-based organization. I'm kidding. Of course it's fear-based. Like, look, we act like this is a bad thing. Okay, he says fear, and automatically like, whoa.
The connotation.
Well, the connotation is fear is a bad thing.
Yes.
They got to be a little bit scared of you. Look, I played for Eddie Sutton. All right, Eddie Sutton. At the time I played for him, it was his late 60s, and I was scared to death of him. And we all were. Okay, you'd think in your mind, like, I could take Coach. And then you're like, yeah, I don't know. He still might get me. And all of the great coaches seem to have that. Seem to have this little something. It's not any different than we're all parents than parenting. Your kids, they got to love you, they got to respect you, and they got to fear you just enough. That doesn't mean you have to raise a hand to them, but you have to at least have them have the level of respect where they think, wait, Dad does have that in him, right? It's the reason that corporal punishment still can be an effective way of parenting. It's not the only way to parent, but it can be an effective way of parenting. And this has proven, especially in a day and age in which players are empowered, not just by social media, but by the dollars that they make in so many other franchises, that the Patriots are like, look, You want to come here? It's not that much fun to come to work on a daily basis. It's not, because it's hard work. You're going to take a little bit less money. You're going to get a little bit less glory. But at the end of the day, you might have one of these. And we put you in position to get one of those more often than any other franchise in the entire sport. If you don't like that, go elsewhere. So is there fear? Yeah. But I think fear, there can be a healthy amount of fear, as long as it doesn't kind of cross over to where now you're dominating, now you're intimidating.
Terrorizing,
right.
Things of that nature. Yes, that makes sense. Why are you looking at
Is that fair?
Yeah, I do think that fear can be a very healthy thing, and it is often a very healthy thing. I don't know how many organizations will see like New England moving forward, because it's the environment is of expectations, and how demanding it is hard to establish, and there's very little time for new head coaches to do that. Now, luckily, when we were there, we had success early, and we were able to build on that success and create a foundation. It's just going to be hard moving forward to get a situation like that.
And it's hard to transport that, and that's what we've seen around the league. It's hard when you don't have all those resources in-house, because the whole organization is trained. And when you decide to leave there, how long it would take you to get up. Like he's saying, I don't know if I'll ever see that again in pro football. I believe it's one reason why Nick Saban wasn't successful, because he wasn't able to get the momentum and stay there long enough to get the whole organization bought into how he was going to teach football. But
speaking of that mimic that you're talking about, Chris Carter, let me ask you this, Coach. We've seen other leagues rather, try to emulate what the Patriots do, the Patriots way. Will we see people try to emulate the Eagles way, this kind of playing looser, letting players be more empowered and involved?
It's trending that way, and Pete Carroll really has done that in Seattle and has been a big proponent of that. And to me, that's great. In terms of his style, if that works for Pete and that works for that system, then he should totally do that. To me, I grew up in a different family. We had different rules. We had different expectations. And that, to me, is what I believe in and what works. But
what's interesting is you point out Pete Carroll, and I think all of us would say, like, the lifespan of a Pete Carroll run where the players have a voice and the players are allowed to have bigger egos and demand bigger contracts. And part of the say, Darrelle Revis saying what the offense should do, that lasts 6 years, that wins one Super Bowl. Could have won two, but only did win one, as opposed to the Patriots. I think. Also,
Doug, look at how they're operating right now with Seattle. They're both teammates on Twitter talking about one another. Right. I would say there's a lack of cohesion in Seattle. They, really didn't even make the playoffs. And you could argue that group
should have won more than one Super Bowl.
Right. And that's what tends to happen with those type of groups, though, as opposed to the Spurs are probably the best parallel. Now, Popovich is terse with the media like Belichick is, although he seems to allow players a greater say, in games and out of games, and has seemingly a more cozy relationship, but he's still every bit as demanding. They take less money to stay. It's about the team and checking your ego at the door when you get there. But the most interesting point you point out is you won early. Popovich was the GM and then made himself into the coach so he could control the situation. The reason it doesn't happen throughout the rest of sports is very seldom do you have a general manager and a coach who are lockstep, who are willing to, if they have to burn it down to rebuild it, to do just that if it's discipline, right? Isn't that what we saw with Malcolm Butler? We don't know what Malcolm Butler did, but he had to do something, and that's Bill Belichick, whether you like it or dislike it, saying, hey, no one guy is going to derail what we're doing, and even if we win one Super Bowl, this is the reason we've been in 8 Super Bowls, because we've been willing to sit guys down when they haven't performed at our level.
I believe it works. I believe you will compete for Super Bowls. But if you don't have number 12, let me tell you something. A lot of that stuff you can throw out the window.
Well, just look at the effect, though, in Jacksonville. Insert Tom Coughlin, insert discipline, insert an environment of accountability. You want to call it accountability, fear, whatever you want to call it. That Jacksonville franchise changed pretty dramatically with an infusion of those ideas from that family tree.
I do agree. I think it's hard to argue with the results, and I think, the playing loose and everybody wants to have fun, but it's the reason you get a check at the end of the day for what you do on that field, and certainly I would think that's quite fun.
Absolutely.
All right, so, Coach, we will see you later in the show, which is great news. But coming up, could Kirk Cousins make the Broncos a contender again in the AFC? Stay with us.